Ever since Zendikar Rising released, Magic the Gathering has had a big problem that's finally getting addressed. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. Welcome to another Wednesday on planet Earth. We are here today to talk about Magic the Gathering's 2 billion some odd problem, more specifically known as a bug infestation. All right, so we're going to be talking about Magic's State of Arena update and specifically what's going on in regards to all them gross little scoot bugs that have been running around. And this is actually a great illustration of how paper Magic still really is king in terms of giving you freedom, and a physical game of Magic can't crash the same way unless you consider somebody just getting so salty that they start flipping the table, you know? When you get to that level. I've actually never witnessed a table flip. I've never had it happen with a Magic the Gathering game anywhere. I've seen lots of salty quitting, but I feel like you have to be pretty, as an adult, you have to be pretty unstable to flip a table. You know, it rhymes, so it's true. But like kids, I remember one day I didn't go down to the Magic tournament, and this was like however long ago when there was a ton of Pokemon had just started. So the Pokemon kids would come down and I hated being there with them because it's like, you guys, you're young and annoying and like they're stealing from each other and crying and stuff. And the one day I'm not there, apparently one of the kids flipped a table and the whole thing was going nuts. So that's the closest to a table flip story that I have. But regardless, to somewhat return to the point here, since I'm just all paper Magic's better, because I gotta be real. I will always be the biggest proponent when it comes to paper Magic. Nothing compares. You can get somewhat of the experience digitally, but either way. So you've got the scoot situation, right? Where you got your little scooty scoot and basically, oh look, I put out a land, he makes a 1/1. Oh wait, no, 5/6 lands, he makes a copy of himself. And that's where it really gets into insane territory. If it was just a card that said, hey, you get a 1/1 when you put out a land, fine. But the fact that he makes copies of himself, so each time you put down another land, they're basically just gonna multiply, double your guys, double your guys, double your guys, double your guys with each land drop, right? So what happened is the scoot bugs caused big problems. Basically, people would create absurd amounts of these, and they're just flooding onto the board. But Arena can't handle it. Surprise, surprise. The platform that already has a ton of errors can't handle this. So we have a situation where all kinds of game states were hanging, where basically it would just be like, game finished for unknown reasons. It's not like you win, you lose. The game just kind of ends, or your Arena client disconnects. There was a lot of errors when Zendikar Rising came out in the first place. So I guess they were chasing after fixing those before they could even address this scoot situation. Do you know what the upper limit is? Do you know what the maximum amount of little scoots you can create before apparently the game completely implodes? I have the number here. They say the max amount of tokens you can make, and it blows my mind that somebody got this far, but the maximum amount of tokens you can make, and it was, I believe the article said, that people figured this out. It wasn't like they figured it out over there, the programmers. They were just like, nope, people have experimented and learned the numbers. So prepare yourselves. It's a big number. 2,147,483,647 tokens. That's how many tokens you can make technically. So how are they solving this problem? They are instituting a token limit. So this is going to be a hard cap of 250 tokens. So that means no matter what situation, this does not just apply to the scoot insects. This goes across the entirety of Arena. Is basically 250 is the most that you can have. And if you try and create anything past that point, the tokens will not be generated. So if you're spending, whatever resources you spend to make it happen, then you still won't get those tokens, but you will lose the resources. So once you've hit the 250, generating extra tokens is impossible. You don't get to even have the, oh, I'm going to put this token into play. Like, let's say you think of it this way, where it's like, okay, these tokens, if I make new tokens, I don't get to keep the tokens, but the game will still treat it as if new objects have been generated. So I can still use it to gain infinite life or do whatever else. It's like, no, no, no. Once you hit 250, the game will ignore new tokens. So it won't treat them like they've come into play. They never existed. Literally, the only thing that happens is you expend the resources that you put into it. Now, I do wonder how it works if, let's say you've got a spell that's going to make 6 more like 1/1 soldier tokens, and you already have 247 soldier tokens. Will it actually be programmed effectively enough to differentiate, make the first 3 tokens and disregard the other 3? Or will it calculate the end result of the entire spell, putting it above 250 and disregard the whole thing? Like, there is a part of me that wonders if this is going to be programmed in the way they're explaining it to us, right? Because let's bear in mind that when they have however long to program in all these new magic cards for each new set. And even doing that, they run into all kinds of errors they didn't anticipate, right? We've seen a bunch of odd things happening in Arena recently. I don't know if you remember. I thought they had just decided to make the change, but when you're playing casually, all of a sudden your competitive rank is just beside your name. And actually, one of the most interesting glitches I've ever seen that makes you hopeful for a feature, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen, was something where it would allow you to pay gold to craft copies. So instead of just wild cards, I got sent a picture on Twitter of this particular error happening, where it showed the craft screen, but at the bottom, it had an orange button with it was zeroed out, but it had coins, which made me wonder, is that just a glitch? Or are they toying around with the idea of letting you spend gold directly to actually buy full-on copies of cards? My guess is it's mostly probably a glitch, but either way, that would be a nice little improvement that would make Arena a little more friendly to people who don't want to either grind a long time to get everything or spend a whole bunch of money. Because apparently, to build out full sets of Arena in a year, you can spend easily over $1,000, which is crazy. Because I'll be real, I'm a free-to-play player on Arena, right? In the most technical sense, I did get somebody gifted me $5 and asked me to spend it on the initial welcome thing for Arena, which I did use. But since then, I've literally just been free to play. And so the way that I play lets me build up my collection quite well, but it's also very slow, and it can be tedious to people if you don't like the journey. But I enjoy just playing the game on my own terms. I haven't really added anything from Zendikar Rising into my deck. I tend to do the opposite of everybody else, and basically once the Zendikar Rising season is ending, that's when I'll start to put Zendikar Rising stuff into my deck. So I'm always one set behind people in terms of that, but I'm playing a 250 card green standard deck, so who cares? You know what I mean? I'm just playing for fun. I'm not playing hardcore competitive. Now, to return again to this 250 token cap thing, for me, it's understandable, right? I feel like there is maybe a middle ground they could work on where people don't feel like they're losing out. Because on one hand, you have people who are like, yo, I want Arena to be stable and playable. I don't want people I don't want when I'm winning and I'm winning hard and it's just the game to go, you're winning too hard, I gotta crash. You know what I mean? That's not a good feeling. And so you don't want to take that away entirely from people. You want to be able to feel like you can build up a huge, massive army. That feels good. You know what I mean? Just bunch of tokens. I mean, I'm playing a Hazes on token deck in Commander right now. So I'm totally down with building up a big squad of tokens. So you don't want to deny the players the experience of being able to go off and do ridiculous things. But at the same time, there's a limit, right? You want people to just be able to play the game effectively, where it's okay, if this is going to completely crash the game out, do you really need more than 250 tokens to win a game? No. So it's really only in the most casual style settings are you going to really care about being able to exceed that cap. And so what I think Wizards should actually do is have that 250 rule across the board for everything, with the exception of direct challenges. So if you directly challenge somebody, then you don't have to play with those caps. So you can mess around with tokens. And if it hangs the game, it's a casual game. There's literally nothing on the line, right? You can't earn daily rewards. You're not in a tournament, so there's no risk there. And you can still have goofy matches with your friends, and they can just message you going, yo, stop making so many of those. I'm tired of the game hanging or whatever. Like, it just gives you that option as opposed to removing it altogether. So I think that's a little tweak that they could make. And in all honesty, there's no reason they couldn't make that tweak in the future. But for me, overall, while I understand people's disappointment about not being able to make that many tokens, as somebody who plays Arena and sits there and deals with the click, 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 like resolve all. And even if you click resolve all, the game's like, I'm guessing you just meant resolve some, right? Because I want to keep asking you. It's like, please stop. I don't know what I did to you, but please stop asking me to click this button so much. So all that kind of stuff, right? It just gets frustrating, and then you just start to get into autopilot where you're doing like full pass turns and stuff like that and missing out on your opportunity to even play the game, and you're just sitting there while it's like your opponent's playing one-sided Magic, right? And that's not fun. So I'm of two minds. I think that the best scenario is having software that flows nicely, can handle the insane things people want to do, and at the same time doesn't create this sort of like insane slowdown or click, click. That's one of the things I hate most about Arena is the amount of times I feel like I have to click and it's just wasting my every click is my life wasting away. It's just reminding me, your every click, you're closer to the grave. Stop it, Arena. I want to play a game to escape thinking about my mortality, you know? So overall, I'd say this is a fine change. It's not really changing much except, oh, I can't do the most insane, broken, dumb nonsense to this extreme. It's like you can still do it to a game-winning extreme. And, you know, you got to have limits. You got to have limits when you're not dealing with paper. You know, paper Magic, look at all these dice. I have 10 trillion tokens. It's like, bro, I'm at 7 or 10 trillion. Actually, you know what? Because you said you're at 7, I'm going to do 10 trillion more iterations, 20 trillion. Got any more last words? You know what I mean? Like, on paper, you can just be like, okay, whatever. But when it comes to Arena, you got to do something for everybody involved, right? Everybody who plays needs to be taken into consideration, right? There's a lot of, hey, me on Arena, and I get it, because there's something about the nature of Arena that transforms your human opponent into the AI for the game. I find myself like, not really even thinking that I'm playing against another person half the time. You stop looking at their names. Like, Arena half dehumanizes people. So, you know, you got to remember that there's 2 people in each of these games, and ultimately everybody wants to have a good time, right? So those are my thoughts on the Scootery. Let me know yours in the comments below. I've got fantastic news, my friends. There is a brand new, awesome, amazing lore video that is premiering a couple hours from now over on my channel, Fantasy Geographic. It's waiting for you. I'll be over there in the little chat box at the side while we do the premiere. So if you want to come and hang out while the video releases, then do so. Afterwards, it'll be readily available to watch on demand, and it's amazing. Trust me, the lore is getting crazy. I really wish we were a week from now, because the next part of the story is even crazier, but you have to do the build-up. You got to get there, right? So anyways, I'm going to go on and on about the lore. Come on over to Fantasy Geographic, get you some awesome Magic lore. You will not be disappointed. I guarantee that. All right, my friends? So if you like what I'm doing here, like, comment, subscribe. It's all great for the channel. If you love what I'm doing, jump on my Patreon. Who knows? Maybe your name will be scrolling by on the screen one day. That'd be all right. So that's all I have to say for now. Thanks for coming by. See you later.